But as we told you before we went into the break, our good friend Tim Mallory, the owner of Advantage Roofing, is in the studio with us. And we were just saying a moment ago, Bob and I are always like trying to get you to plant trees and shrubs during the fall season. Tim's going to try to get you to think about a new roof during the fall season because that's one of the best times to put a new roof on a home. And good morning, Tim. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I am great. Thanks for having me back.
Yes. Where's your better half?
She has got an appointment this morning, so
we're going to have to ask you to go until she can come in with you.
She's my biggest fan. Yes.
I'm just kidding you.
She's listening. She's listening.
So tell us what's going on, and what are you guys really getting into and ramping up for? What's going on?
So September, October, November is usually our three biggest months. It's our biggest quarter of the year. What usually happens is homeowners kind of put off replacing their roof, and then all of a sudden it turns cold and it starts raining. You can feel like fall is in the air, and we get this big push to get the roofs installed before winter. Kind of a curious thing that's happened right now. It's been so hot and so dry that I think homeowners are still kind of in summer mode. So we don't have this big backlog right now. We can get the roofs within 10 days to 2 weeks. And we're running a great special right now. So if anybody, is interested in getting the roof done before the bad winter hits, now's the time.
Well, so I'm sorry, Bob.
Go ahead. And unfortunately, a lot of times people don't think about their roof until it's too late. And with all this extended heat, it would definitely be a good idea to have that thing checked
for sure
and see if you need it. I just don't think people realize the extended heat for this long, how tough that is on a roof.
Puts a lot of stress on it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It dries the asphalt out.
Right.
It dries the asphalt out. It's kind of like tires, You only want to push it so far with a tire before something kind of disastrous can happen. It's the same way with the roof. You only want to push them so far, and then disaster can happen.
But you know what? We've not had any rain for a homeowner to even know that they have a leak of any sort, perhaps. And hopefully you don't, but I mean, you don't get any rain, you don't know you have any roof problems.
Yeah, and if they had a small little nagging leak or something, that's out of sight, out of mind here because it's been so dry.
I want to go back and touch on something you said. You had a special going on for the month of October. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we're running a special, and there's a shingle in the market that I think is the best shingle in the market. It's called a Landmark Pro Max Definition Designer Shingle, and it's a great 130-mile-an-hour wind shingle. It's got a lifetime warranty on it, and it just is built right, strong, nice shingle. We are offering that. There's two prongs to the special. We're offering that as a free upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the price of a regular dimensional shingle, but you get this free upgrade, and you also get $400 off the whole entire order.
Wow, that's big savings.
Yeah, and I see that on your website. So you just put your name, phone number, information in there, and they can get a free quote. You'll go out and give them an estimate on the roof. And
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's not a smoke and mirrors thing. We do this in the fall with the free upgrade, but we've also added that $400 bump on it. So it's a great deal, especially if you got a big house or if you have a big condo association, a big project, and you get this free upgrade to the shingles. It can make a big difference.
Wow, that's not a bad gig.
Lifetime warranty.
Lifetime warranty, the free upgrade.
Yeah,
and plus $400 off, and on top of that, you're working with a reputable company.
Right.
You guys, I know you know what you're doing. You have a great rating there with the BBB, Angie's List, A+ rating. That's what it's all about right there, integrity. And I know that you guys bring it. You've done it for me, so I don't need to go into that in any great detail. I ask you, what are some of the signs that homeowners need to kind of pay attention to that they may need a new roof or attention to it at least?
Sure. Well, there's a few tells, if you will, on a roof. Number one is the age. If your roof, especially if you're new construction and your roof is getting to the 15 or 17 year mark, you need to get it inspected. Builders, not all builders, but a lot of builders will use a low grade shingle just to save a little bit of money. So that shingle, even though it's a 30-year shingle, is not going to last that long. So the age of the roof, if you know that. A second thing is if there's a lot of granules coming out of your downspouts or in your gutters. That's a really good sign because that tells you that mat is drying out. and the tar on the mat holds the granules.
Mm-hmm.
So the shingle's starting to break down. So that's another good sign. Also, if you look at the roof and you see any kind of imperfections, anything that's raised up a little bit, that tells you that adhesive is starting to dry out and those shingles are starting to lift. That is an issue where you need to get it addressed fairly quick because winds can start lifting your shingles
Right.
up and causing
So is that where like the tips of the shingles just kind of start curving upward?
Yeah, we call it a curl. You see just a little bit of a curl in that shingle. You need to get it inspected.
Little curl,
Yes.
little Dapper Dan on it.
And those
It
are things
starts
you
to-
probably can see from without having to climb on a ladder if you're worried about
Right.
getting on the second story.
Yep.
Right.
But also, if you are worried and you just don't know, best thing to do is to call or go on goroof1.com and just sign up.
Just sign up. Yeah, that's a great thing. And a funny thing, there was a wind event back in April, and it wasn't a really bad storm, but the wind got about 60 miles an hour. And we're still seeing, I was over in Anderson about 2 weeks ago, just giving this guy an estimate from the ground. The roof looked old, but it looked like it was fine. I got up there. There was wind damage everywhere, and he actually got his roof replaced by the insurance company because
Really?
of that windstorm. Yeah.
So what does it take if I'm up on a rooftop and I hear this often, there's people that come by all the time, it's a store and it's what was the one called? Shingle All the Way. Okay. I'm feeling Christmassy, but he's like, oh dude, I bet you have wind damage up here. I bet you have hail damage, and I'm thinking, here we go. They stop in all the time. I'm not going there, but does it really take a trained eye? If I'm up on a roof, I can't tell hail damage from whatever. What does it take? And when you're looking for those things, what is it?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the obvious one is if there's shingles missing, that's wind damage.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that homeowners don't realize, and you can't see from the ground sometimes, is the shingles will do what they call crease. So they will lift up in the wind, flip over, and flip back.
Okay.
So they're still on and intact, but they flop in the wind and they cause this little crease in the top of the shingle, and the shingle will not reseal. So that in the insurance eyes is wind damage.
So you can't see that from the ground.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And then the hail damage, that's a little tricky. You got to be really trained to kind of find that. And also hail damage has a tell sign that the whole neighborhood usually has it. So it's not just one individual house is going to have it. You have throughout the neighborhood, you'll have hail damage.
Interesting. So does that when it hits the grit that's on top of the shingle itself, does it mark it?
Yeah.
Is it identifiable in that way?
It is. Yeah. Visually, it's identifiable because it dislodges those granules.
Okay.
So let's say you have a brown roof, it dislodges the brown granules and you see the black tar underneath.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. And
so,
it also can, there's a fiberglass mat in that shingle, and those hailstones will rupture that fiberglass mat, and that's what caused the leak.
But before we went into the break, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, some of the colors and various types of shingles that are available.
Yeah. So they make a broad spectrum now. There's probably 14 or so colors available. And it's great, but the Landmark Pro palette, they do what's called a max definition shingle. So they really put more intense colors in it, but they also use black and they use shadow lines to make it look like a really thick dimensional shingle.
And so when we talk about dimensional shingles, explain that to our audience. When you're looking at a dimensional shingle versus the standard shingle that was used commonly years ago, what's the real difference there?
Yeah, so when I got into business 32 years ago, there was just what they called a 3-tab standard shingle. And it's a 36-inch shingle, and every 12 inches there's a little cutout to kind of make it look like the old slate shingles. And that was basically it. It's just one little slab of shingles. Then they started coming up with this dimensional concept, and they used a full slab of shingle without the cutouts, and they also put extra strips of shingle on top of that. So all of a sudden it started looking like the old wood shake roofs. The real benefit to that is you went from a 50 mile an hour shingle, 60 maybe,
Right.
to 120, 130 mile an hour shingle, because you don't have those cutouts and those corners and everything to catch wind. It's just one slab of shingle.
And, when you look at the colors that are available to the homeowner, are you finding yourself in the role of suggesting to a homeowner what color shingles they might go with, if it would look good with maybe a red brick home or a lighter colored brick home, or if they have a siding? Are you finding that people are starting to try their best to match up that outside decor look?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that, and we have some tips on our website that kind of helps you with that. You got to be careful with it, because if you get too many things involved and too many colors involved, we got a saying that busy is dizzy, and all of a sudden
I like that.
Your house is just too busy and too much things are going on. So if you look at your house and you have your exterior, not including the roof, is kind of basic and you want to pop on it, then pick a busier, richer shingle. If you've got a lot of things going on, maybe stucco, stone, a lot of trim, different colors, then tone that roof back a little bit and go with something a little more monotone so you're not too busy on that roof. And
then you can't go wrong with black.
Black is always a great, great color.
What's the most popular color?
Probably pewter.
Okay.
So it's a step off of black.
Yep.
Homeowners a lot of times think black is super heat absorbent, and there's a big advantage to not going with black. So, which really isn't the case. There's only about a 3-degree difference in your attic. So they'll drop to that pewter. Yeah,
and even on when you look up Landmark Pro and see the Max Def pewter, it's just got a little bit of gray compared to black in it, but it's still got some of that black really to give you a little bit of nice color. I could see why people would choose that one. So I would think that one and driftwood would be pretty popular too.
Driftwood's a very interesting color. It's unique to CertainTeed, Landmark. Other manufacturers really don't have that color. And it gives you a little bit of gray and browns mixed into the black. And it's on the right house, it really, really looks good.
Yeah, and I think the shadowing on this Landmark, and with your free upgrade and the discount, somebody's looking for a roof needs to consider, because if you see the shadowing, it's just, like you said, I think you just said it, it makes it seem like that is a bigger, contrast.
For sure, Bob.
And it really looks great.
Yeah. There's times when we replace a roof, and I usually come back and inspect after we've installed the roof. And even though I've been doing this for 30 years,
And you just said something. Tell us a little bit more about it. This is the birthday walkthrough that you were talking about when you go back a year later. I love that element of service that you provide.
Yeah, we do two things. Number one, my crew foreman, Jeff, who's my right-hand guy, knows a ton about roofing. He's been with me for 20-some years. He'll do an initial 19-point inspection as soon as the roof is complete, just to make sure everything's exactly how he wanted it. And then a year goes by, and we send out a little birthday card in the mail for your roof. And I'll come out and inspect it. And the reason we do that is our shingles are heat activated. So they have this adhesive strip on the back. When it heats up, one shingle glues to another, and you get a nice tight shingle on your house. So we let the summer happen, then the fall and winter, everything kind of contracts. The flashings get colder and move a little bit. All 4 seasons happen. I come back out and I inspect that roof one last time just to make sure it's exactly how we like it.
Now, not many companies are willing to do that. And I think that's the added touch that you guys provide at Advantage Roofing that I really, really like. And I admire that. We have Ray with us on the line. Good morning, Ray. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just great. How about you guys?
We're doing well. What can we help you with?
I got a question. I got a silver shingle, and I guess that's what it's called, silver, and I'm getting black streaks in it. Is that something I should be concerned about?
Ray, that's a good question. So in and of itself, it's an algae that grows. It's an airborne algae. It kind of bounces around from shingle to shingle. Sometimes grows on the side it gets the less sunlight, but it can grow everywhere on the roof. But it's an algae, and it's likely that your roof is older, or it's not quite as it doesn't have quite the algae resistance in it that it should. So it may be kind of that builder grade shingle that I was talking to you about. There's some products on the market that we haven't had real success with to get that off. So to answer the question, it doesn't really hurt the roof other than appearance. But when you go to switch that shingle out, make sure you get a shingle installed new that has a real nice copper and zinc algae resistance to it, and you won't have that problem going forward.
Okay. Did you say that as far as cleaning it off, it's kind of hard to get it cleaned off? Or?
It is. We've played around with some cleaners, and most of them are a little spotchy, and the dark staining comes back in 6 months or so. I do know there's a couple companies now that are out there that are just for roof cleaning, so you may want to research that and see if they've got a better product on the market now.
Ray, how old is your roof by chance? You any idea?
I'm going to say it's about 7 years old.
Okay.
That happened kind of quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. So it's likely that it wasn't the I don't know how to say it. It's likely that it wasn't the best shingle going on. It's probably a builder grade shingle that went on that doesn't have a high content of zinc and copper in it, because you shouldn't be seeing those streaking until 15, 18, 20 years on a shingle.
Okay, see, I kind of thought that too.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, wow. So, what is the product that's usually built into the shingle that keeps that algae at bay? It's the copper and zinc?
It's copper and zinc, yeah. They and Certainty, the shingle we're talking about, they send their granules to 3M, and they coat it with a zinc and copper coating that stops that algae from growing.
Interesting. Well, Ray, just hang in there with your roof, and when it comes time to do anything down the road, Tim's the guy I want you to call.
That's no problem.
No, all right. You have a great weekend, and we have to take another quick break. And when we come out of the break, we'll continue our discussion about roofing. We have a lot more to talk about. And if you have anything you want to ask or bring up, or something that's troubling you with your roofing system, Tim's the guy to talk with. 749-B105. You're with Tony Works, something else Bob Bard, and Tim Mallory, the owner of Advantage Roofing. We'll be right back. We were talking about going into the winter months. If I remember the last time you were in the studio with us, that is one of the most difficult and hardest times on a roof.
That is correct. Yeah.
So what's really taking place? What's happening at that point in time with the roof?
Yeah, good question. So you'll have to step back and realize how a roof kind of works. And as I alluded to earlier, each shingle has an adhesive on it. And then as the second shingle lays into the bottom shingle, they glue together, basically. Mm-hmm. So they stick together. It's a real strong adhesive. Well, as that shingle matures and gets older, that adhesive starts drying out. And as we get into the winter, I'm probably showing my age, but whenever we was a kid and we maybe got bubble gum on something, we went and got an ice cube and put on that bubble gum, and it made it brittle so it would come off like the bedposts.
Right. It would lift easily.
It's kind of like that. So that adhesive is kind of a gummy adhesive, but when it starts drying out and then it gets really cold in the wintertime, it also gets brittle and crumbly on it. And when that happens, the shingles start to lift. So they're no longer glued together. They're now more individual flopping shingles in the wind, and any 40, 50 mile an hour windstorm can cause you some troubles.
Interesting. I know another topic that it could be a hot button. And fortunately for us, it doesn't happen as often as it does in other areas of the U.S., and that is ice dam buildups or backups. Are there certain things that you guys do or precautions that you take when you're doing a roofing installation that will help guard against that?
Yes, there is. And to set the kind of scenario, there was a big event. So what Ice Guard prevents is from ice building up in the gutter and then causing water back up underneath the shingles of the roof. And about 10 years ago now, there was a big event in Ohio that caused a lot of damage. There was a snow. The snow started melting a little bit. It hovered around 32 degrees, so the heat from the attic started melting the bottom of the snow. But when it got to the gutter, there was no heat from the attic, so it refroze. And that happened in a cycle for a little bit. And so the gutters filled up with ice, and then there was 6 inches of snow on it. We had a 60-degree day, so all the snow melts just like that, but that ice in that gutter did not melt. So all the water's running down the roof and hitting that ice. It can't get in the gutter, so it backed up under the shingles and caused a lot of damage to homes. After that happened, the state of Ohio said any roof that's replaced going forward has to have this ice barrier along all the gutters. So if the water pushes up again under the shingles, it has this rubberized sheet that it can't get into.
So every installation that you do, it has that that exact process done prior to laying the shingle on top.
That's correct.
Now, does Kentucky have that requirement?
Unfortunately, they do not.
Ooh, that's
they
interesting.
Don't have that requirement, and you wouldn't think that would make geographically that big a difference.
Right.
But we still install it in Kentucky. Sometimes our pricing is higher because of that, because it's not a inexpensive product. But we also take it a step further, and then we put it under the valleys, and we put it around any penetration that may be on that roof. So anywhere that there may be even the remotest chance of snow building up or ice building up, we put this water shield.
Well, you just said something to me. Well, two things here. One is, could a company cut corners and not do that because it's not required to do just that in Kentucky?
Absolutely.
So a homeowner might not even have any idea and think that they're protected.
That's correct.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So secondly, too, part of that, what you just said, I'm thinking gutter and ice dam back up or build up, but not in the valley. So it can happen in the valley too if there's enough snow up there.
Anywhere where snow can drift. So it can be behind a chimney. It can be in a valley. It can be if your roof changes angles from steep to less steep.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different places, depending on which way Mother Nature decides to blow the snow around, that can cause you some problems.
Whoa, that's interesting. I wouldn't even have thought the valley. Mm-hmm. So you did that at my house, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Right answer.
Yeah.
Right answer. I'm not having problems. You did my roof back in 2008. I'm just testing you.
Yes.
Hey, you're about due for a new one.
You know what? Probably you think about that.
No, you're not.
It's been 11 years.
Yeah, but
so,
you put a good shingle on, so it's going to last.
But I know that I'm good to go to 15. But I wouldn't be opposed to another roofing job done if I'm going to continue to stay there, and that'd probably take me out through the rest of my duration. Especially if there's landmark shingles with the lifetime warranty. There you go.
Yeah, you'll be covered.
Is that transferable, by the way?
It is. Yeah, it's transferable. I think there's a limit to the first homeowner. So CertainTeed will transfer to the first homeowner, and then after that.
Interesting. I want to ask you, too, when we're just talking about the ice dam buildups or backups, does anything come into factor or play when we talk about adequate, like attic venting? We talk about the soffits and the importance of the ridge vents. Does that have any influence on what's happening on top?
For sure, yeah. A lot of homeowners say, well, I don't want my roof vented because I want to capture that heat in the attic space in the wintertime. And that is absolutely the wrong way to do it, because just the scenario I said, if you capture your heat in the wintertime, then it melts the bottom layer of snow quicker, and it gets that ice building up into your gutter. So you want to have a cool attic in the summertime, but you definitely want to have a cool attic in the wintertime. Otherwise, you'll have icing issues.
Got it. Something, well, we got to take a quick break. Man, it's just flying by. So if you have any questions here for Tim Mallory, owner of Advantage Roofing, this is the guy you want to talk with. I can tell you this, he's done a great job for me, and I have a couple other things I need him to look at, and I feel that confident in Tim and his staff and Advantage Roofing. So I don't just say this, it's about integrity, and these guys have it. And if you have anything you want to add to it or talk about, feel free to do that. Give us a call here at 749-B105. You're with Tony Works, Bob Bard, and Tim Mallory, and we'll continue our conversation about roofing when we come back. Good morning and welcome back to In and Around the House. You're with Tony Works and Bob Bard and our special guest, Tim Mallory, owner of Advantage Roofing. And while we went into the break there, Tim, we have a couple of people I think that want to reach out to you, and one is Rose. Good morning, Rose. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks.
We're doing well. Thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to Tim Mallory. We had Advantage Roofing in February. Our house is like a couple hundred years old. It was built in 1860. They replaced our whole roof, and we didn't realize, but we had some work that had some wood that was rotted.
Yeah.
And they took care of everything, and it was an amazing job, and it was a great price.
Well, thank you. I had the same issue, and Tim's staff, that they had to replace a couple of things for me, and I had no idea. We don't know what's under the skin, It might look good from the surface, but thank you very much for the nice compliment.
Thank you, Rose. Very kind.
Thank you. Great.
All right. You have a great weekend.
That's really nice.
That
You just
is.
got to love it. But, when you hear that, and that's something, one reason we appreciate all the support, but the reason Tony and I give you so much support as well is because of calls like that, because we know you're going to do a good job. The people that work for you care, because you can hire anybody, but you don't, right. And it makes a big difference. And that's just a testimony right there to Advantage Roofing.
That's what it's about. Mm-hmm. And Joyce, thank you for being patient. What can we help you with today?
You're welcome. Yeah, well, I've been in my house for 16 years, and I mean, my roof looks okay, but I don't know when a new roof was put on. This house was, I think, built in 1969. So, do you do free inspections or?
Yeah, it's a good question, Joyce, and thanks for calling in. We absolutely do. That is a big part of my business, because you're right, homeowners can't really tell, and it's sometimes hard for me to tell when I'm standing in their front yard. So the best thing to do, if there's any question at all, is just have me out. It's a free inspection. It'll take me 20 minutes. I usually take a little video for you to show the condition of your roof, and you may or may not. Homeowners are surprised a lot of times. I'll come down the roof and say, call me in 5 years. You're in good shape. There's nothing really that needs to be done up there. But that's the case probably 50% of the time, that they're in good shape and, they got more life in it. So, yes, give us a call.
See, I can see the roof from my backyard. I can see it from the front yard, and it looks okay. But my brother came by last week, and he needs to replace that little vent on the side of my house where something knocked it off. I guess the wind. There was a hole in my screen, but then he said there was like a little notch up there on the corner.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I would definitely recommend getting it inspected. Again, it's free. And, it may be that if it's a 16-year roof and it's a decent shingle, you may not need anything done for another 8 or 10 years, but it's always good peace of mind going into the winter to know that you're good up there.
Well, I don't know how old the roof is, but like I said, I've been here 16 years.
Yeah. Real quick, Joyce, do you have a pen handy?
I got to get back in the house, but my radio's on.
Well, I tell you what, we'll give you the information, so you just keep listening in, and we'll give you that information, and you can easily write it down and get a hold of Tim. How's that?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a great weekend. Welcome back to In and Around the House. We're nearing the tail end of the program this morning. We do have our special guest with us here, Tim Mallory, the owner of Advantage Roofing. We've been talking a little roofing, but before we continue, we want to extend a happy birthday wish out to our good friends at Bromwell's down here on 4th Street. 200 years being in business, right, Bob?
And coming up this month.
They are the oldest operating business in the Cincinnati area.
Yeah, they got some cool things coming up that you really need to put on your calendar. One, they're going to be doing a display kind of in tribute to Blink, which if you don't know what Blink is in Cincinnati, that's coming up next weekend. Mm-hmm. And they're going to do a big tribute to them with a personal challenge to make a difference in the world. And I'm really excited. I will go by Bromwell's to see that. Also on October 18th, they've got an anniversary happy hour from 4 to 6, signature cocktails, special prizes, special pricing on things, and you can win some really, really, really cool gifts and things that they have. And then also,
I like that signature cocktail name, Jake's Woodshed.
There you go.
Take that boy out to the woodshed. That might get you in a little trouble right there.
And then they're going to be on with us.
Yeah, on the 19th. So I'm looking forward to that. They'll be live in the studio, and you're going to hear about all the exciting new stuff when it comes to fireplace products that are debuting at Bromwell's this fall season. And they're not just about fireplace products. They do a lot of really cool stuff with home interior kind of items. And your better part, Michelle, does a lot of work with them, does she not?
She does go to Bromwell's, and she brought me in. It's probably been a year or so ago, and I was blown away by. I thought it was just fireplaces,
right? And
you go in there, and there's some really unique stuff to Cincinnati that's down there. So if you're looking for something that's kind of special and unique to showcase. That's the place to go.
Yeah, and not to mention the grills, outdoor stuff that they have. I mean, home interior stuff. Go to their website. Go to bromwells.com. If you're listening, just check out bromwells.com. Even their first page, it's just you look at it and you go, okay, this place is different. There's a reason why they survived 200 years.
Absolutely.
And you need to go.
When you walk inside, you're going to see all the beautiful fireplaces and so forth. But it's when you walk upstairs, it's a new Bromwell's. It's a new era. They have a lot of other stuff just besides fireplaces.
And
but anyway,
people need to go check it out.
check it out.
Check it
That's
out.
for sure. And also, before we continue any further, Tim, give us your contact information. We had Joyce there, and hopefully she's got a pen in hand and she can write this information down.
Joyce, here it is again. And if anybody's driving, it's real easy to remember. The office number, and you'll talk to Dawn, is Go Roof 1. So you just spell out GOROOF 1. And online is goroof1.com.
There you have it. And also, tell us about that special again, because this is like almost a 2-for-1, and you can't beat it. And it only lasts throughout the month of October.
That's right, October 31st, and it's going away. We're giving a free designer upgrade to the Landmark Pro. It's a max definition shingle, and we're also including $400 off the overall cost.
That's a great deal.
Big savings. Big savings.
I have to ask you, Stud, when was the last time you had a roof put on your home?
When it was built. So it's coming.
Is
It's
it
coming
due?
due.
Is
I
it
get up
due?
and I inspect it, and I've had to do a little bit of minor repairs. And, I get up every year and I usually do an inspection. And, you were saying about hail damage. Sometimes you can see hail damage if you look.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious, especially on a worn shingle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming soon. But the last roof I did, I think, was like a home and garden show roof.
I want you to open up that wallet and put a new roof on.
So, hey, if you're paying, I'm all for it. That's
He's
really
got a
nice
great-
of you.
He's got a great deal.
I had
going
no
on.
idea you were gonna buy me a roof, Tony.
Well, yeah,
Thank you.
Hey, Alex, when we went golfing the other day, did you notice those little alligator arms he had? Yeah, he didn't want to get in the
I
wallet.
couldn't
did
even
he?
reach my wallet. I
You
had
know
to
what?
have you pay.
And Alex is like, Tony, I'll get the beverages. I got it taken care of. He went all out.
Yeah, he did, but
Yeah.
did I have any?
No, you didn't have any.
That's right. You bought beverages for you and him.
That's right. Well, he bought them for both of us.
Yeah, there you go.
He bought them.
I know.
So, what else is, we were talking about just a moment ago how important that the ridge vents are. And I guess I really have a question when it comes to ridge vents. Are there any styles of ridge vents that are better than others? And if so, in what way?
Yeah, so ridge vents, they've come a long way with them. And they now make what's called a shingle over style ridge vent. It's got on the inside, it's got this fiberglass mesh so bugs can't get in, snow can't blow in. It's got a baffle in the side. So you'll want to go with the shingle over style ridge vent as opposed to the old aluminum style ridge vents. And that's also a way you can tell if you have an older roof, is if you see those aluminum ridge vents on the peak, because they are kind of phased out 18 or 20 years ago.
Do I have that one? Because you put a shingle over top of it too.
Yeah, we put a shingle over it. No, so you do not have that.
So do I have the bug protection in there too?
Yes, yeah, it's all in there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Keeps out the stink bugs and all that other good stuff. There you go. That would be important. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm just kind of making light of the situation. So that's the most popular type?
It is, yes. That's the type we use most of the time, unless we get into older houses like Rose's has, and then the trusses are hand built. And when they hand built trusses forever ago, they would usually put a double header board at the peak of the roof to hold the weight of the trusses. If that's the case, we can't get that ridge vent cut in and the airflow good enough, so we drop to what's called a box vent system after that.
So, and what is that? Is that something I see that it kind of sits on top of the roof and it spins as the air blows through that, or is that?
No, that's a turbine vent.
That's a turbine
and,
vent.
We don't
Okay.
use a lot of those because it has moving pieces that can, that can fail. No, it's this what they call a static vent. It's an 8-inch by 8-inch hole that we cut, and then the heat just as on its own flows up. We put them close to the peak, and the heat flows up through these static vents.
Got it. I guess I have a question while we're on this same topic with venting. The soffit vents, that's an important part of the element too. Do you do any of that or repair any of that by chance?
That's a good question. So we do soffit venting. It's very important. If you look at your attic system or your ventilation system, you want an intake. So you want the cool air coming in, and that's at the soffit line, and then it circulates up and through an exhaust, which is your ridge vents or your box vents. We do the soffit venting, but there's some houses like the old Cape Cods that doesn't have any overhang. When that happens, there's a product called a DCI Smart Vent, and you come up the roof about a foot and you cut a slot into the wood, and it's almost like a ridge vent. You lay the vent over top of this slot, and then you shingle over top of that vent, and it allows for an intake vent about a foot up from the gutter in the shingle line. Yeah, it's a great product.
Pretty common to do that.
It's getting more common.
I would have never thought of anything of this sort. Yeah, that's very, very interesting.
Well, that's the key, is the ventilation to helping a roof last a lot longer.
No doubt about it.
That's why you said when you first got here, you talked about trapping the heat in. You said customers are like, hey, I want to trap the heat in. Yeah. And it's like, having that ventilation so it just circulates through naturally, it's going to help the roof last a lot longer.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
Wow. Do you often, you'll put the ventilation in for people if needed?
That's correct.
Do you find, well, it's an added cost. Do people say, no, just let it go? I don't really want to do that. We've not had any type of venting and had any problems.
I do get pushback sometimes, and sometimes the vents are okay, so we don't have to upgrade them.
Right.
The issue we get into, and I tried to educate the homeowner on it, is if there is ever a problem with the shingle and the shingle manufacturer comes out to inspect that roof and it's not properly vented, then that can cause an issue with that warranty, because if it's prematurely aging and there's no ventilation, well, that's why the shingle's having problems.
Oh, that's a good point right there. And that would be a huge surprise to a homeowner, and it would be one unhappy homeowner if that was the case.
So you didn't have to worry about that in 2008. It was just taken care of. You didn't even know all this stuff, and it was just done.
Right.
That's what's nice about a quality contractor who knows what they're doing and doesn't skip corners.
I got it.
You might pay $1 or $2 more, but it's worth it.
You don't always necessarily, it's not all about the most expensive person in whatever industry that it is when you get an estimate, nor the cheapest. I'm looking for somebody that it's going to deliver what they say they're going to deliver, promise that, and it's a good quality job.
Well, it's like this, with Tim here, you can get the free upgrade. So the shingles are going to last longer. So you get the free upgrade. So it wouldn't be more expensive because of their special. So you got to take advantage of that now.
Tim, you're going to laugh about this one. I'm going to tell you the reason why I chose you when we did our roof back in 2008. I didn't know you from Adam. I didn't know anything about your company. I just saw how clean of a job you did down the street, and I was impressed. And that's what, that's one of those things about if somebody's clean about their work, they have to do good work. Sometimes when I hire people at the store, handwriting tells me a lot. And it's not the end all by any means, but there's just certain things that you can pick up on when it comes to detail. And if you're that detailed about cleanliness around the home, and when there's landscape involved, that was important to me. And to this day, what was that, 2008? I've not found any type of shingle nail.
Yeah. So it's at least a clue when you look at a contractor's cleanliness on the job site. It's at least a clue of what's going on up top on that roof.
Yeah, and I always tell people, ask around. Word of mouth is really the best advertisement, in my opinion. When you can tell somebody that this person did a really good job for me, that goes a long way. And like I said, you were so clean. That's what it was. Great. I'm calling this guy up. Even the dumpster looked really nice.
I'm glad you don't come in my office. You wouldn't hire me. You'd be like, I'm not hiring that guy. He's crazy.
But won't you give us your contact information again before we conclude today's show? Tell us one more time about your the special that's going on, and it stops at the end of the month, and it's a 2-for-1 kind of a deal, and you can't beat it.
Yeah. So the special is the free upgrade to that Landmark Pro Max Definition shingle. In my estimation of 30 years, I think it's one of the best shingles on the market. So it's a great opportunity. You get that for free. That's usually, $500 or $700 upgrade. On top of that, we're also giving additional $400 off. So it's a great special. It just runs through October. It's really one of the most aggressive specials we've run in a long time. But it's exciting. People get excited about it to get that free upgrade. And then the contacts are 513-GO-ROOF-1 for the phone number and GoRoof1.com for the internet.
Awesome. Great interview this morning. And please give Michelle our best. Tell her we missed her. And then the next time you're in, bring her along.
Will do.
And Bob and I will see you next Saturday at In and Around the House, same time, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Have a great weekend.
Welcome to the Subway ad for $4.99 footlongs. How would you like it?
I'll take dramatic movie trailer, please.
Here you go.
In a world filled with freshly baked bread, an unsuspecting sandwich lover is about to get a foot-long Black Forest ham, cold cut combo, or veggie delight for only $4.99. Subway, make it what you want. Now playing for a limited time only at participating restaurants. Additional charge for extras plus applicable tax. No additional discounts or coupons may be applied. 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 Coupons may be applied.